All right, we're looking at round two between Luis Peña and Stephen Peterson, and there's a really interesting grappling exchange that happens at the start of the round. A few things that we can talk about here and make some points on. The first one happens just off of a double leg. So Peterson manages to take Peña down. They end up fairly tight on the cage. And this is a classic scenario where the person who's been taken down is trying to stand back up. We talked about this recently in a video, and we talked about when you're standing up from here, a few key things you've got to do if you're the person standing up, and one is protect your back and not to be too relaxed or too casual with the arm that can potentially defend the side where the back might be taken. So what happens in the exchange here is that Peña does a great job of getting the knee to the cage. So he pulls this knee out, he stacks up from here, he gets this knee to the cage. But now this arm on this side is one of the major components that he needs to protect his back. So rather than having this in a tight position where the person can't be sneaking around his back, it ends up just a little too relaxed from this position. And this allows Peterson to take his head straight underneath the armpit, so here. And that's the start of some problems for Peña. So if we just go back there, what we need to be doing is thinking about getting up to our base, getting that knee to the gutter. It's perfectly good to get into that position, but then we need to also be defending the back. Pushing your own back and shoulders against the cage, so there's a physical barrier as part of it, but then trying to protect this line as well, making sure your armpit is not open. And this is where Peña gets caught out a little bit. He's too casual with this arm on this side. Peterson manages to duck his head under, and then from there he's starting to get a back take. He does try and force himself back into the cage, but once that head's through, it's much more difficult. So now he continues to climb up, and you get that classic exchange where the other person's starting to climb up onto his back. And there, so Peterson comes up. They end up in a standing back control kind of position from here. There's some exchanges of grips and fighting going on in this position, and then Peña at this point starts to go after ducking under one arm. So he's taking the arm that's on his neck, protecting his neck, and going both of his hands 2-on-1 onto this grip, and he's driving it just away in this position, and he wants to get this arm on the other side of the head, but this is tough to do, so he needs to shift his own head around it. So this is like another duck under. So from here, he's bringing this arm off, and he leans forwards again to duck under and come back up the other side. So now he's managed to pass that arm from one side to the other. Once he does this, obviously the threat on the neck disappears, but also this person's starting to lose position. And you can get a little bit of leverage on this arm, start putting pressure on their arm to break them off to that side. So if we just look at that again, just around the neck, both hands on the one that's around his neck. Doesn't need to try and take it over his head, just needs to force it away enough so he can duck under. So he forces it out and away off of his neck, and then just dips under, raises his head back up, and it's on the other side. And now he's just working through from this position. Eventually manages to shake Peterson off, and they continue in an exchange from there. So nice little grappling exchanges, a few fundamental points. Make sure that when you're in this position where you're raising up to the cage, that you're not just coming up and getting that knee into the fence, but also making sure your back's protected and you're not switching off from that far arm as you're standing up. And that standing exchange, that 2-on-1 grip around the neck is a great one, fairly fundamental, but then that little duck under is a nice extra bonus piece from there, especially if the person's standing and they can't roll you into different positions, and they're fairly vulnerable in that space. So really nice work from both guys. Great grappling exchange at the start of round two. If you want more videos like this, go and check out UFCsecrets.com. Got more coming up soon.